talk about building your financial freedom. So there's quite a few definitions to building your financial freedom. Today, we're going to define it maybe in one way that we believe can be maybe embraced by most.
Yeah, just kind of like a fuller definition, we feel. So we feel like financial freedom is more about really having a lifestyle goal that you want to be able to work towards and accomplish. So you know that you have a goal of wanting to achieve ABC, whether it's in your career, in your family, and at the end of the day, you don't feel constricted by your finances in really following through with the decisions that you want to make for you and your family.
Yeah, I think when we see the word financial added to another word, the focus is mainly the financial word. So in this case, what we'd like to do is draw the attention to the word freedom versus the word financial, right? What does freedom reach you? What does freedom mean to you?
Right.
And that is where I think we can start taking those steps to move us forward.
Absolutely.
So if we're thinking freedom, I'd say, okay, to reach freedom in any aspect of life, you need a plan, right? You need a plan. You need to establish goals in your mind. So now bringing it back to the financial piece, we have a few possible goals that are listed that I think the majority of people address. One of the main ones, as soon as you sit with someone, is what are you gonna do for retirement? Are you ready? Are you prepared? Right?
Absolutely.
Do you have everything saved up? And I think that's what becomes very overwhelming when we think of finance. It's a big goal to think I need to have everything set up for when I'm retired.
Right.
How much money is that?
What does that even mean? And then you've got the whatever, like inflation and cost of college and blah blah blah. And any emergencies that might come your way, good or bad, you know, that require you to spend some more money. So when you're thinking about those things should be taken into consideration for retirement, right? Daily living costs, all of that, whatever we can assume that might be when we get to that point.
Right.
And also contingency plans and all of that should be part of the retirement plan as well, right? And so part of what we want to really establish in that is that we're not suggesting that having only a large lump sum of money allows for certain freedoms. Of course it does, and we understand that, but we also want everyone to understand that we can, with planning all out these things, we can get to a point where hopefully we can feel a certain amount of freedom for our particular lifestyle and quality of life that we want to have, again, as an individual, with our family and or extended family, whatever we want that to look like and whatever is important for us as a person and a family.
Right. So thinking through those thoughts, it's making sure there isn't things in place that limit us to reach that. And sometimes picking a longer term goal sometimes creates that additional frustration. So if you're sitting and picking a long-term goal, you have to kind of cut it in bite-sized pieces to then be able to accomplish it. You don't just wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm gonna build my own company and I'm gonna have it ready in 3 months and I'm set. I know I can get all of this done. Of course you can, but what are you gonna do today? I think those are the biggest pieces that will move you, right? What are you doing right now? So as you're listening to this, think of a goal in your mind and reflect on it and say, what did you do today to reach that goal? Whether that be, let's say it is building your own company, and you're saying, okay, I need to work for 3 years and make sure that between my income and expenses, I've saved X dollar amount to then be able to launch in 3 years. So that's what I did today.
Right. And sometimes you're gonna say, wow, I really didn't do much today to get towards my goal. And that's okay too. We just have to be honest. And what we're calling is intentional planning. We have to make sure that even if I took this step today, that I know why I'm taking that step and where it's getting me at the end of the day, closer towards what goal. And sometimes there's multiple goals, right? Not a lot of us have only a single goal going on at the same time. So that's trickier. And so those are things to consider. And again, some days are going to be more successful than others. And that's exactly why even setting a realistic timeline as part of our planning is important too. When we're saying like, okay, retirement. All right, well, I think I want to retire early or at whatever average age, or I want to keep working for longer, whatever that might look like. I think it's about understanding timeline as well as taking into consideration then what it takes, little steps to get there.
Okay, so what are those steps that we are taking? As she's saying, there could be times when there isn't success, but that might be a little more of that intentional planning. So if I am planning for 3 years out, today, what I was supposed to do was relax. That was part of my task for today, right? So I think adding those pieces like scheduled, right, rest and relaxation, that has to be part of our program.
Yes.
Too many times the word, you have to hustle, you have to work hard every single day, every single minute of your life to be able to reach your goals. And I get where that can be embraced by many, right? Because it's something that's been pushed for so many years, but then reflecting back on, I have a plan. So I don't have to feel pressured to follow those rules because I do have a plan and I am slowly taking the steps to reach the plan at my own pace, the way I want it to reach what I want to reach.
And that means sometimes what to say yes to, what to say no to, and what to take action on, and what to kind of sit back on. Really, it's just, in that example you're describing, and to me, like instead of like financial freedom, I feel like almost kind of like captive to finances at that point. If like all I'm doing now, I'm not saying different people don't have like different like tiers of what is most important or exciting and fun for them. Like for some people, I get it, you get a rush from what you do for a living that also brings in your earnings. And also, right, it's about finding that balance across your life. That I think is also an important consideration that we're talking about in financial freedom. Again, it's not just like the money dollar sign value of that, but the freedom piece in regards to then how we feel most fulfilled, right, and balanced and connected, I think, on that really emotional, psychological level for ourselves and to those around us.
Yeah, adding the financial piece to the freedom, right, is kind of what we're talking about today. Knowing what do you need to reach the freedom that you want based on your goals, and what financially needs to happen to reach that freedom. Those are the pieces. Instead of just focusing on finance, it's making sure you're allotted that freedom that you desire. Because her freedom might not be my freedom. Right? The amount of dollars I need to live the lifestyle I that I want, isn't necessarily yours.
Correct. It's individually tailored.
So I think, and one of the biggest, action pieces that we'd say for today is analyze your current situation. Have you been planning for financial freedom that isn't yours? Right? Is it somebody else's? Is it what you see on TV? Is it what all the news articles say that you should be doing to reach this financial freedom? What is this financial freedom? For them, that's theirs. Today, just analyze what is it for you.
Right, it shouldn't be arbitrary. It shouldn't be just something that sounds right, but it doesn't necessarily fit into your values, which are things we've talked about in previous months. Understanding how to align your values to these things, right? These are the steps we're hopefully helping you build along the way as well, of how to get to those ultimate pieces, uncovering yourself in these things, understanding yourself better will allow you to plan better realistically. I like to talk to my patients a lot about like, well, is that idealistic planning or is that realistic planning? In order to discern between those two things, we need to analyze the current situation, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, you got champagne taste on a beer budget, that's not gonna work. So part of those things to take into consideration rather are like, oh, am I a big spender? Again, things we've talked about in previous presentations or workshops that we've done is about like being honest with ourselves about who we are, who our partner is, or whomever is in our life that is kind of playing a role in our budgeting, and be honest about those things so that we can realistically plan for maybe some idealistic goals in our lives. But again, taking real steps.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads to our second point, which is being intentional with those goals that you set for yourself. Intentional, not just in the sense, yes, I do have champagne taste. Okay, that could be your true desire,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that that what you're doing today is gonna make you reach that, right?
Right.
What changes do you need to make
To get that.
Yes,
Yes.
you can't just want it.
Yes.
There's too many wants out there. Yeah, I want that. Of course, we want a lot of things, but let's be intentional when we pick
Right.
and be very selective on those goals that we want to achieve, because that will alter what our plan is.
Or because we don't want to mismanage.
Yeah.
So maybe we get then to this goal, but then the other 5 goals that we have, again, because the odds of having a single goal are very unrealistic. We can't get to those because we've over allotted, let's say, in this direction.
Right.
So that's setting intentional goals for yourself means after you've analyzed your current situation in regards to what is attainable right now and what maybe is already there at that ideal goal in our lives. And then the other things we have to build out further to get to really our end goals. And then come back around and say, okay, now how do I get there based on where I have already either successfully gotten to and where I need to still work at.
And it ends with mindfully creating a budget, right? There's the mindless budget creation.
Yeah.
You just sit there, plug and play, and then you're done and feel that it's complete. But if you've set intentional goals, now to actually focus and do this mindful budget will really move kind of your percentages around on what you want and what you need. Of course, there's the 50-30-20 rule, right? Where 50% of the money that you create should go to your needs, 30% to your needs, and 20% to saving and investing. Maybe that won't work for you if what you're trying to reach is a different plan, right? So walking through these steps is necessary instead of just jumping the gun and going straight into the budget. Make sure that you know what situation you're in today, right? By writing these things down, setting those intentional goals that you want to reach, and what steps does it look like you need to reach them. And then making sure that when you're building that budget, you're not restraining yourself from freedom, right? Because that's part of financial freedom. It isn't just hunker down today for a future that you might even change that goal in the future, right? Because life happens and then you have to adjust anyway. So I think that's a really big piece of this as well, that your goals might change over time, and that's okay, as long as you're at least doing an annual check on your budget to make those adjustments along the way.
And a self-assessment about, like you're saying, those goals, potentially those goals shifting or priorities shifting, whatever is on your plate. Yeah, something, as you were talking, like I was thinking, I said, oh, like kind of like the difference between the person that, like, if you guys have ever shopped at IKEA or any build it yourself furniture, there's the person that just like opens the box and starts going at it, just like by the pictures. And then there's a person that like lays it all out. Let's make sure all the parts are there, like the little menu that they give you.
Oh yeah.
Because then you get to the level where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm missing this thing, or you used it over there, and that was like 10 steps ago. And now, so that's our goal, is for you to build the most stable future for yourself, not just like jump in and say like, all right, I think I got it. And you might, except it could be maybe a little smoother of a ride to get there. That's what we want, because that's the freedom piece, is like, we can get places sometimes in a very strained way, or we can get there if we plan accordingly as best as possible, of course, barring any kind of extenuating circumstances, to get to those places in a really, hopefully, kind of like calm and structured manner, so that we know that we can really achieve those at the end of the day.
I think that is a great point, because I am the either buy it and have somebody else make it for me, or I'm going straight in, ripping the box open, probably from the opposite end, and trying to build crazy, right? But I'm self-aware that I know that isn't my skill, and this isn't my place to try to do this, because at the end I will tape up the chair and hope that no one breaks it when I sit on it.
Extra
yes. But the truth of that is how finance works,
Yes.
right? Some of us out there are like, nope, I can do it, I don't need help from anyone, and then we're not self-aware that it's not going the
Yeah.
right direction.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there that can do it on your own, perfect, we're actually going to add a link today for a budget. So we made it really simple to be able to kind of help walk you through it.
Mhm.
So we'll have that budget for everyone. For those that need help, just reach out to someone that can truly help. Maybe it's helping with setting the goals. Maybe you're great at making the budget. Maybe analyzing your current situation is what you need help in,
Yeah.
right? But I think just realizing what situation you're in and does that require someone else to assist you to get you where you want.
And that's part of that planning, right? If you can't really take that on your own, then how do we plan that for ourselves to ask for help, which is another layer of difficulty for a lot of us.
Right.
Even identifying it sometimes. So that's something that we need to and should be building self-awareness around in regards to our strengths or not. Because, asking for help really is a skill set.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
See you next month.
Take care, bye.